Hello and welcome. We are live. The show is called One Step. Let's talk about the journey. And today's journey is going to be about a good friend of mine. And also, what would we be called? Past alumni? is, is that Norman Manley alumni? that
That's
is so
right.
true.
On money.
So I have with me here Ezekan Bolton, author of the book called Jamaica in 60 Letters.
Yes,
I'm so
Jamaican.
intrigued. I'm intrigued about that name. But before we start, let's first apologize for being a few minutes late. You know how it is trying to get things set up online and flow in the right way. So to all my listeners, my audience, our apologies for being a little bit late. So I'm gonna get Ezekan to first introduce himself. So before we progress, at least we have some grounded knowledge, information in relation to who this author is. So Mr. Bolton, I'm gonna get you to go first and make yourself known to my audience, listeners, families.
Okay.
The list is long.
Okay. All right. So it's evening, right? Good evening, Jamaica. Good evening, Florida. Good evening, the universe, the world. Good evening to everyone social back screen. Wherever you are listening, big up one spot, one step. So many thanks for having me and all that are joining or that will see this whenever you see. All the best and blessings to you. All right, so the name is Hezekiah Bolton, and I'm the final, as I say, not a last. People say last and wash belly. I'm the final child for my parents, 10 and 7, being 10 for my dad, 7 for my mom, and I closed the show on their reproductive activities. Yes, lock off it and say I don't want anybody to follow after. You know what I mean? So I'm the final child, as I said. I was born and raised
That you know of.
Say in a real life that I always say I'm the final child that I know of, because if I'm to hear, because them say my father was bad, mean that he had a lot of children. No, if I'm to hear that there's another child, then who am I to say that there isn't? You know what I mean? Because because sometimes them own, sometimes they don't own. But from what they have told me, and nobody has come to claim my final spot, so I hold it dearly. So I was my parents. My dad is from Manchester. My mom is from Montego Bay. Now, both of them came together in the city, and I came. So country parents, town child. I went to inner city. I went to an inner city school, and as Joel mentioned earlier, I went to Norman Manley, comprehensive high.
Shout out to all Manleyites out there.
Big up Norman Manley. So it is normally comprehensive. Then it is now they take out the comprehensive, so it's now Norman Manley High, right? So I came up through the ranks. Did a little thing here and there. In high school. I must say, shout out to Joel. He was the head boy, for which I was the deputy, right? So, see, a long time my boss me around. Nah, just kidding. No, it was the boss. We worked together well, and then from then, went to left Norman, and did some odd stuff. Other subject went to do back some subject and stuff, and I guess the middle of it we'll get to throughout the journey. And now here I am on one step.
It's a blessing, man. Appreciate having you, my brother.
Thanks,
Ezekan, I have to ask you, because we have to celebrate Norman Manley a little bit before we move on. What's your favorite memory? What's your favorite memory in high school?
My favorite. Well, I used to do a lot of things in high school. I was on the track team.
What is the best that you can remember?
I was on the track team once. I used to play cricket for them. Then, as I tell you, deputy head boy at grade 11. I was sub prefect, prefect, student counselor. Um, so I mean, I wasn't one of them troubled child. I enjoyed my childhood. I would say in high school, and I had a lot of fun moments. I'm not gonna say not about no girlfriend because like my wife she come sit down right in my living room, so we skip them part there.
Is she
Yeah,
there? Is she there in the background?
she right excited. She like right there, start look at me like right now for here all of the
Shout
story.
out to wife. Shout out to the wife, man. Shout out to the wife.
Wow, Maxine, I probably hear she there. I'm also
Her
live on
name is not. Her name is Maxine.
Maxine. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Shout out to Maxine. Okay. Um. So what I did, Ezekan, the book is called Jamaica in 60 Letters.
right.
Um. Before I proceed, explain that part.
All right. So the book is called Jamaica in 60 Letters. I know when you show it like this, it shows in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Like I thought that one. Yeah.
Right. So it's Jamaica in 60 Letters, volume 1. Now, what I did with this, I played on the Jamaica celebrating 60 years of independence. So this was basically written. So volume 1, and it says from 2007 to 2017, right? So I've been writing, I should say, from normally grade 8, when Mr. Collins introduced us to writing articles. And from then, I fell in love and started writing. So if this says 2007, I've been writing before this. However, those early writings I cannot find. I don't really know where them is. So I started writing for a thing called Teen Herald. Like people even know as old as we are, them probably wouldn't know it. You know what I mean? So you write from Teen Herald.
Hey, we're
days.
not that old enough, so be careful.
That's no, let me tell you. See, Gen Z's, somebody 20 then say they're old. A Gen Z's there, Gen Z's now. A Gen Z's we are the generation now is Gen Z's are X.
Well, we
Yeah,
are
we-
millennials. We are millennials.
Yeah, well, right. So we are old. They say that we are old. Right now, if you reach 19, they say you're old. That's the generation. That's not. That's how it
Yeah.
is. So what I did. So I was writing the articles, and listen, I just write because my aim was never to become an author. My aim was never to become any of this. I wanted to become a pilot, then an engineer, and then all these dreams and aspirations just float around and change like the weather. Right? But throughout all of that, I continued to write. And I just write, and writing expressing whether my feelings are expressing the feelings of the masses being Jamaica, and some things that people would express, me write it down and let it out.
All right. Let's get into this. So what I did, Ezekan, was I picked out what I consider to be some of the most important, because we couldn't go through. We're not going to be able to go through all the different articles. So I picked out a few, and
because
they're related to.
You could probably tell the listeners and the watchers, it has 6, as it says Jamaica, and 60 letters, actually 60 articles in this volume 1. And volume 2 will be Jamaica in 61, and volume 3 will be, and it continues until, I guess.
Have you started volume 2?
Yes, volume 2 should be out by December, January. The publisher has it. And volume 3 is basically, so.
Oh wow! You are loving this, man.
No, remember, Joel, as I tell you, I've been writing from grade 8. So all of these, I said 2007 because that's where I could find from. The earlier ones, I can't find it. I don't know where they are. I can't find them on the internet and so on. But the ones from 07, my wife, she had started a collection. As I said, never have no writing of any authorship or anything of the sort in the mind. So so she started to, when they come out in the paper, she collect the paper. Matter of fact, you can let me see the thingy. We have an album. Well, she has an album where she cut them out and put them in an album, like a photo album. So this is like a collection of them. So she cut them out and put them in
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah, this one is full. You need. I have a lot more that is not in there. So as I said, it was just that. So people were saying, "Why don't you? Why don't you? Why don't you?" And I'm like, I've never thought of that. To do a book, and I must say, this is my second book, but this is the feature tonight. So I guess the other book
Yeah.
at another time.
Yeah. The other books I'm definitely interested in also getting into. But for now,
Yeah, yeah,
let's get this one rock and rolling. So what I'm gonna do, Ezekiel, I'm gonna tell you the page number. So I'm
right.
expecting the viewers will eventually want to buy this book and read it for themselves. But I'm gonna tell you the page number and some of the stuff I highlighted to read from, and then we get into those. All right.
No problem.
So starting on page 16, this one is government and the rights of people. I'm gonna read out the section that I highlight here and get you to and get your thoughts
Yes.
on it. So Jamaica is a democratic country, which means everyone has a free and equal rights to participate in selecting the government, also the freedom to privacy from arbitrary arrests and search, speech, assembly, religion, etc. Now, all of these rights have been preserved when the police search people from the ghetto, especially at will. When they turn houses upside down without warrant and no repercussion follows their wrong action, how should you get effective justice without blocking major roads or resorting to jungle justice? We often hear that the police are taking our frontline duty, but is that a cover up when there is a controversial killing? Can you explain that part, Ezekiel?
All right. So now, in order for us to get so-called justice in Jamaica, so if there's something or anything that happens, what you find is that for our voices to be heard, you have to demonstrate. So there's a pothole in the road. There's an extrajudicial killing or something. You will not hear or anything about it if you don't protest. And protest being blocking the road cause a hindrance to people. So we're saying that why is it so? Why do we have to do this for our voices to be heard? Right? We often hear, as I say, of police officers being taken off frontline duties. And you know what is funny? As I said, this
Yeah.
is 2007, and I'm not sure if it's something that we'll get to later or no, as to the profession that I am in now. But this was written from 2007, which I'm not sure what I was doing at the time. But it doesn't matter who does it. If injustice is injustice to the people, if it is done by the government, by the nurse, anybody that does it, it's still injustice.
Has there been any case, Ezekiel? I mean, because you should know this, where there were controversial killing and a police officer was, let's say, arrested and charged or fired from his job? I mean, has that ever happened? Because I can't recall hearing. I mean, apart from the Portmore incident, but we're not getting into that right now. I mean, and also let me just highlight, because I know you're still in Jamaica. So let's choose our thoughts and speech very wisely, because we don't want to, step on any ants. So you know what I mean by that. But I
Yeah.
mean, generally, has there been any incident where an officer commits such an offense and he was fired and released from his job?
Yes, man. There are officers in are serving time now, and it's no secret. So we're not covering up or stepping on any current. But these are
Yeah.
public notice. There are officers who are on trial now. Officers on trial now, as you know, the law says you are innocent until proven guilty. So they are having their day in court. But they have been officers who have gone through the system and
Yeah.
have been found guilty, and they are serving time. So not because you're an officer means you're immune from serving time. No, there are persons now who are serving time for actions that they have committed.
So this article was written in 2007.
Right.
From your knowledge, has there been improvement when it comes to, um, you know, police officer
I would say
wanting to
yes.
interrogate. Yeah.
Well, as was the article is not about police specifically, it's about generally, but in
Yeah.
relation to police officers, I would say yes. In that, at the time, I don't think there was an INDICOM. No, there are a number of bodies that oversee police and police action. So there's INDICOM, there is Inspectorate of Constabulary, there is iProbe. So you have a number of oversight bodies that oversee the actions of police. So if it is that an officer does something that is out of line, then there are places that you can. There is MOCA also. So there are a number of bodies that are there so that police don't feel like they get away with doing just anything.
Okay, so what else about this particular article that I might be missing that you want to highlight?
All right, if you look at page 17, it says, what are the responsibilities of our members of parliament? Now,
Yeah.
remember, members of parliament are elected representative. They're elected by the people. So now, some of the times, the people feel like their voices are not being heard. And the member of parliament, their political representatives, they are the ones who are supposed to bring their voice out. So if it is that something that the layman cannot address or bring, then the member of parliament should bring that to the general house. If there's a pothole, there is no light, no water, or so on, the average person can go dig one dam or so. It is for the political
Yeah.
representative to know, lobby from his government if they're in power, or if they're in opposition, to say, listen, the people of X or Y or Q place is in need of stuff. And in a general sense, the member of parliament, political representative, they are the servants of the people. So it's not a thing where you become an MP or prime minister or whatever to just to go live a luxury life somewhere. No, it's to represent the people in their doing, represent the people, to in order for them to live a better life.
So those member of parliaments, from 2007 until now, give me your opinion. Are you saying that they're not proactive in their approach when it comes to situations like these, the needs of the people? That
Some
is,
Some
yeah,
are. Some are. And then you will hear the people demonstrate, you will hear the people from time to time, they themselves will speak about it, and come and demonstrate against their member of parliament to say that he or she may be not doing enough and they only see them when certain time come around. So there may be improvement in some areas because as you mentioned, a lot would have been changed or changing
yeah.
from then to now, and it continues to change. So I say, I wouldn't say it's a wholehearted that it gets better. There's always room for improvement. Some are trying, and you find that from then to now, the views of the people, and then the people are now are holding them, I think, now much more accountable than then.
Yeah.
The time of old when our parents take anything from them, we see it in the electorate. You find a lot more young people are getting involved into politics. A lot more young people
Yeah,
are
I noticed.
um, getting interested and becoming politicians themselves, right? And say it's not the older people, they call them dinosaurs. They call them
But I
dinosaurs.
mean, but come on, Ezekan, we see all these electives are recycled years after years after years after years, and and we don't see where they do much after. It's like a zone of relaxation and achievement and making money in those positions, and they don't
Which
do
is
much for the country.
which is true. And what was the change is that with the young people now, they would rather not vote than to choose to go along their parental heritage, meaning a PMP my parents come from or JLP my
Right,
parents come
right,
from. They will say,
right.
listen, it's not really about PMP. And then a lot of things, as I said, the tracing and stuff what that is associated with politics, then we'll find say a lot of that people are not. So if I remember the last election, it was really about it was like a big sound clash because a lot of the artists get involved and a lot of dub plate cut and so on. You know,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So you find say the political landscape it is changing. It takes long. It is changing because the young people have made their voice heard, right? By not voting, a lot of them are saying really, you know, really the little. I mean, there are still a lot that are captured by the whole, should I say, trickery of politics. But I think it's a
Politics,
work in
yeah.
progress, and we have a lot. We have a lot still to go.
I think also, Ezekiel, one of the reasons why you see more young people now is because those other politicians are aging out. I mean, I've you know what, I've been following some of the news, and I look at some of those guys, and they're they're expiring. I'm sorry, it
Yeah,
sounds horrible.
that's true. No, it is horrible. Why I said that? I saw them
Yeah.
assisting one upper step,
Oh yeah.
assisting that one upper step,
Yeah.
and I'm saying when you as a civil servant, when you reach 60,
Yeah.
they prepare your letter. These people are 70, 80, 90. So I'm
Yeah.
saying then why can't the civil servants who a lot are in much better health? Why can't they continue? So the ball field sometimes is not really level, yeah.
Yeah, and I know, and I feel, and yeah, I see where things are changing. Let's get into another article. Page 18, reaping what we sow. Let me quickly read this. Corruption, illiteracy, and parenting are some of the primary roots in the tree of problem we have on our island, Jamaica. Rape, murder, gang war, unemployment, drugs, single parents, etc. Our branches grown from this tree, which is growing widely in every community. The tree is growing out of control, and there seems to be no solution to effectively stemming its growth. But are we fighting fire with fire? Are we purifying the water at the end of the stream? Or is our focus twisted? I suggest looking at the seed we plant. If peas are planted, that is what we will reap, and that is what is happening to our society. We are reaping what we have sown. Let me just read this other section. Corruption is like electricity running inside the House of Parliament, in the police force, and in other places. The government needs to be fair with how they award contracts, make decisions in matters in which they have the personal and in which they have a personal interest. Disperse funds, not accept illegal monetary contributions, etc. etc. As leaders, we expect you to lead with integrity and not corruption in high places. I'll get you to elaborate on that before I give you my thoughts here.
Okay. No, you see, I smile when it is read. The title of that article is "Attack the Root." No,
Yeah.
oftentimes we as fight fire with fire. But how, if there's a fire, who do you call? You call the fire
Fire.
brigade. Funny enough, they call the fire
Definitely not the
brigade,
Ghostbusters.
but they come with water. It's a fire brigade, but they come with water. So
Yeah.
they don't match the same fire. They come with the opposite. So now we have issues in our country, right? And I mean that stems from, even though this is from 2007, we are still having that issue today. In that you give the police more guns and you stop the military and so on. But what are you stocking it to do? I am thinking what we are fighting now is the result of, I mean, I did a message on Sunday and I spoke about the home. I believe that's a crimes fighting measure that we can embark on. Fixing the home. If you don't fix the home, you'll always be funding the police force. You'll always be funding the army, right? So I'm saying the problem we're having is a result of, meaning, so this child becomes a criminal. This child was not born a criminal. So it would have meant that he was cultivated into criminality along the way of his growing up, right? And parenting would be a big part of that. So I'm saying we reap what we sow. If the home is corrupted, then we're going to be continue to have the problem that we are having now. Now we speak about the politicians and so on. No, it says, the Bible tells us, and if you go into the other section, it says, Proverbs 22, verse 6 says, train up a child in the way that he should go. If the child is being taught corruption from their parents, then you're going to have a corrupt child. So use that analogy with politicians. If we are hearing about nepotism and cronyism with politicians, then what authority will you have as the leader to be exacting judgment and punishment on anybody else? You need to start with you. Michael Jackson said it starts with the man in the mirror. So the politicians, and oftentimes we hear about scandals with our politicians and so on. And they're saying, like, the people are saying, but come on. Then if you are our leaders and you are scandalous, come on, you don't have any authority to talk to me. So I'm saying, let us start from the home. Our leaders, you need to lead with integrity. Check out the parents, check out the home. And our leaders, again, if there's a problem with a football team, who they fire? Not the players, they fire the coach. Yes? If a ship is going down, the last one to leave is the captain.
Okay, so I'm not disagreeing with you, Ezekiel, and that is very true. That the home is a vital source and probably the root cause for societal imbalance. But let's look at the other side too. The current situation is that there is corruption.
Mm-hmm.
How do you address the current problem that is? Because yes, if we go back in time and change parenting and change how children are raised and treated and guided, yeah, we can make the change. But the fact is that if currently you have corruption, let's for example, in parliament or in the police force, you still have to deal with it. So don't you think there should be solutions for that too? Because I mean, if you leave it as it is because you're saying it's just a branch of corruption, that branch is still growing. You understand what I mean? And that culture that is still being perpetuated. And I mean, I know it's difficult to root out corruption at its core, but at the same time, I think there should be means and measures to also handle the current problem.
There are means.
You know what I mean?
There are means and there are measures. But are those means and measures being used? Are those means and measures allowed? Are they allowed to work? Meaning, for example, a politician gets into a situation and they are before the courts, and then you just don't hear anything about the matter. Now, the court would be the arm that is set up for justice to prevail. But sometimes who have the most money, who have the most links and these things overshadow the whole thing of justice taking its course, of justice doing what it should do, right? So we really don't need any more laws and rules. They are there is for them now to work. Because oftentimes when
why are they not work? Why are they not? Why would you say your opinion? Right?
Because who they are ruled by, and sometimes who has the most Benjamin. So it goes back to corruption again. Because you find that, I mean, there was a situation where an officer, he did his job, right? And there a certain situation caused some stagnancy on that officer because he did his job. Yes? So it makes you feel like you're going around in circles. Because when you reach
say that? Go ahead, sorry.
When you reach to a place, you probably get a phone call or, somebody, says that you are to stop this or whatever. And you're like, but isn't this what I'm supposed to do? You just have to probably leave it.
Would you say corruption is less now than 2007, or it's still the same?
Well, the thing is, I'm older now. I know more I do now than before. So I would say, and with the advent of the different bodies, I think it may be there now, but the exposure sometimes you don't get to hear about it. But you hear a lot about persons in high places have been called out because of, we now have the contractor general, we have a lot of bodies now that are seeming to work.
Contract.
Yeah, the contractor general. So like awarding of contracts and stuff. they are to
Yeah.
ensure that it is not favor, curry favor, but that all that should be done is done. Due diligence. So you don't just give. So like cronyism and nepotism. So I am in a position where I can just I call you and say, all right, listen, there's a contract. So do this. You remember this situation is it went through the necessary courses. Remember the situation with the light bulb, and they said that there are
Light
some
bulb camera.
there are some persons who would have set up dummy companies and so on and so forth, right? No, I think that went
Yes.
through the courts and whatever. So the contractor general and the auditor general, they are tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that these things are against that light bulb thing, that these things don't happen, that everything is above board and it is fair, that no thief enough money and so on. So they are there for that purpose. I don't remember hearing of them back from when I was a child.
So that light bulb scandal back in the days, like I can't even remember the politician's name. Was what became of that individual?
Well, there
Was he
was
arrested? Was he charged?
yeah, man. They went through the courts, yeah, and in order for you to
I
go
remember
to
there being the court, but I don't recall
That's
what
I'm
the
saying.
end result
So,
was.
in order for you to go to court, you have to be charged. You don't just voluntarily go to the court because the charge is what makes the case a case. So he
Yeah.
was arrested and charged and went to the court as to what the fine or I don't remember the last
The
verdict because I
penalties.
know
That's what the penalties were. What were the penalties?
I don't remember, but I know that he's not in politics again. So I'm not entirely sure how the final. I would have to Google it. I mean, it's public
Yeah.
knowledge,
Okay.
so yeah.
You can always Google it. But I don't recall him going to prison though.
Oh no, he didn't go to prison. But remember, it is, you see, and that's the whole thing. Sometimes the law, we don't know it. Hence, what we do, we allow our emotions to get ahead of us.
Yeah.
Case in point, persons are saying that they recently concluded Klansman child that the person should have been given more years. However,
Yeah.
if you look at the law gives a cap as to the maximum years that the person can get. So if according to the law the person can get 10 years, it doesn't matter what your emotion is saying. That is what the law says, and their
Yeah.
attorney can always appeal it, that listen, this was excessive. According to the law, you did not follow the law, and then that person can, issues can come out of it. So it is a multifaceted thing, and not just our emotion. We'd have to probably know the law, and some things. I remember there's a case where somebody hit down somebody and the person died. So there's murder, and murder will sometimes change to manslaughter. And the person got a non-custodial sentence, was just charged a fine. Now people say, but the person dead, so how comes? What does the law say? So it's important to know. And then, so from that now, I'll plug this in. It's important to read. A lot of time we allow our emotions to go ahead of us. But what does the law say? And in order to know the law, we have to read. Oftentimes we don't read, so we don't know, so we act off our emotions.
Yeah. And that's just basic ignorance, and like you said, poor emotional management, because people become overly passionate about certain events. It happens. Even when you do know the law, as they can. I mean, you see someone getting off for a crime that that, well, I shouldn't say but
No,
you
no,
strongly
I
suspect.
understand.
You strongly suspect they commit.
I
It plants seeds of anger and disappointment in the law too as well.
And I'm happy you drew a break there, because according to the law, you are innocent
Innocent
until
until proven guilty.
proven guilty. We can always, and I'm happy that international listeners are here, our watchers can always go back to that famous case in the 90s, the famous footballer, O to the J, yes, and the masses would have had it that he's guilty. Yes, it's him do it, but the law and the judge, according to the law, would have put the case before the jury, and the judge, the attorney at the time, Johnny Cochran, I can't remember my whole, but I have my memory at work, defended the case with the gloves. You know what I mean? So the law, and sometimes, as we said, because we don't know the law and our emotions And even want to know the law some of the time, as we say, we're humans and we do have
Yeah.
feelings and emotions.
Okay, wonderful. So the other article that I'm going to be looking at here is on page 24. Notice fathers needed. And I realize there's quite a few articles about fathers here. So
Yeah.
yeah, let me just address this one quickly. Hold on there, because I want to read. I feel like when you share the information, it makes it more interactive. The natural process of procreation takes man and woman coming together, of course, of which the end product is a child. Now, after the child is born, he or she will need both parents, would need parents more because of the child's food source. In the early stage, the mother would be most needed for the breastfeeding. This is not a reason for the fathers to feel left out. No, it should rally around the mother. I mean, I guess you're saying the child should, he should rally around the mother and the child, assisting wherever he is needed. Boys especially need the guidance of their father from that tender, vulnerable age where discipline is easily instilled. After all, and he gave a proverb here. Now, let me jump from that and say we are suffering in Jamaica because of the lack of fathers playing their role in the family. Today, the government is burdened by crime and violence hovering over the country like a thick black cloud. If there were to be a survey done on the shatters, robbers, gangsters, etc., it would not be surprising if the larger percentage of them were without fathers. Now I get you to talk about that before I jump in.
Right, as you said that recently concluded. I wrote another article about father. So what I do in my writing, I try to be current. So what is going on at the time, and this one was written and it came out May 21st. Father's Day is in June. So I wrote about this in Child Month,
2000.
right? So I write about things and tend to be current. So I wrote about an article about fathers again after the recently concluded trial of the Klansman. And in mitigation, the attorney for the leader of the gang then spoke about father and the lack of father, and the gang leader saying that it's either he didn't have a father, I didn't know his father, I didn't grow with his father. So that came out as a plea in mitigation so that he can get less sentence, to say that if his father was playing the role, right, his family was lopsided because the mother wasn't there. No, God instituted this thing where the parents, one is parent, and we find a lot of single parent home, and the single parent, I believe, didn't do a survey, but my opinion that is 90% mother only. No, so I'm saying that because of this void that is created in the child, especially the father, because no offense to mothers, but a mother cannot be a father. You can be a good mother, but you cannot be a father, right? And as I said, no offense to you, right? So now the father role, the father void is there. And who is going to fill it? Mother full and run over the mother space. So they search for that to fill that void. And when they search and search, you find that anyone that comes along that will make them feel like a man or exhibit what they should be growing up as a man, they will latch on to them. And that is why they promote mentorship, because they're saying this man or this male who is displaying positive male role model will impart same to the child. But the same is true for the opposite. If a don or a era leader or whichever of them takes onto a child, they are going to see them as that father role model. When I look in the inner city today and so on, and when I ask a lot of these young men who are their role models, and they will tell you, enough of them is the artists, because what they see. So the artists go out there and sing, and him get rich, right? And him get rich what? He might drive the toughest car. He has all the girls, right? He is famous. He has all the money, right? And oftentimes they don't see the underbelly of this. They just see the glim and the glitter. No, with a father in the home, not just to be a lord over them, but to carry them through the steps. So when, for example, the boy come wake up in the morning and him see himself wet up, then the father is there to explain to him what happens, right? In the right way. Somebody else can tell him to do something else with it. And there's a lot of myth in the world. And that's why the home is the first institution, the oldest institution. Yes? And that's where the parents, being mother and father, because both have a role to play. Both have a role to play. Now, as we said, I worked at the family court for years. And it's a big whole void where the women has to come to the family court because they want their child's father to play a role. A role. There's even a case where, well, many cases where the lady said, Judge, you can't make him just take him for a day. Take the child, and oftentimes is male, for a day. Yes? Because I mean the women have their life to live too, you know. And if there's no one else, because sometimes the women go, but when there's the woman alone, she has to now think about who she's going to leave the child with and so on. And that sometimes create a void because what she have to do some of the time, probably leave the child with the neighbor. The neighbor's values may not be the same as your value, but mother and father you're expecting coming together have the same value to teach. So when it says notice as the title of the art, fathers needed, we're saying just like somebody have a vacancy in them establishment, they want people to fill the void. We want fathers. I notice that nobody just say man, I say fathers, right? Because anybody can have sex and a child come. However, to be a father is playing the role. A lot of women will tell you, say, he man not a father to my child, he is a sperm donor. Mean that them do the necessary for procreation and some of the time, that's it. Now, some of the time when the women bring the men to court, what happened? The men now just pay the money because they are mandated to pay the money. And the child, I see a case where the child now is going to university and the father is there because in Jamaica, how the law says, if you are before the court for maintenance, you pay maintenance up until age 18. However, if the child is still pursuing education, then that goes up until 23, which is a first degree. A lot of people don't know that. Some man say, we can't wait for the child reach 18. No.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. Even when the child is 40, it would have been your child. And oftentimes the men are proud when the children become whatever, but you weren't there to steer the child. You weren't there to guide the child. And that is what is needed from here. In this. Yes.
Let me just say it's because you are so correct in everything you have said so far. And I mean the only small contribution I will add is to say that psychology research have already proven that a child is, and I don't want to say boy specifically boy, I'm going to say the child, boy or girl, something goes wrong in that child's brain when he is growing up with no father figure around. I want to emphasize boys because crime in general is more so committed by men, and I'm not saying women don't commit crime.
True.
But overall, I did a script. It's on my channel. It's called The Race and Fatherhood. I was in a zone at the time, and I guess it's probably because I was also kind of dealing with my trauma too as well. Because personally for me, I can use myself as the sacrificial lamb and say that I have daddy issues. I'm being straight with you. I have daddy issues because I'm a man now, and it's because of the grace of God why probably I'm where I am right now. And I'm not saying my father didn't do anything at all. I'm not saying that. Let me just make that clear. What I'm saying is that there are certain things that I saw. There are certain gaps that he did not fill. Let me just restructure it and put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And those gaps, they're super important in relation to the wholesomeness of me becoming a man. I mean, I could have chosen other path because I didn't have because daddy wasn't the example that he should have been. I could have
Right.
taken other roads. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can tell you that I have other brothers that have suffered the same deficient, but I'm not going to get too much into that. But what I will say, I'm going to stick with the article and say that one of the root causes of crime in society is obviously because of fathers not playing their role. Let me tell you something, man. If a man play his role as a father, and I'm not saying there aren't other variances that could occur causing
Mm-hmm.
your child to go down another path. I'm not saying that can't happen. There's always that probability. But I tell you this: view the house as the castle. If you get rid of that king, or there is no king in that castle, there
Mm-hmm.
will be disorder. It's basic,
Yes.
literally
Yeah.
basic. And from our upbringing, we both can testify that, and I'm sure that men have become wiser now. In
Yes.
Jamaica, I'm gonna speak out of in faith and say men have become more wiser now and know their role, because I don't think things are the same in the home in two as though it was probably in the 90s or in the early 2000s. I'm gonna say men have improved, because I've seen certain changes when you look, how society is now. But we need to still emphasize that when there is no father in the house, that's just total disaster. And here's the other part too, Ezekan. Women have become more wiser now, smarter, independent. They know that, listen, I assess this man, and I know that if it should so happen that we can see if this guy not going to see. Women are more aware of that now. No. It's not like back in the day when women would just lose their focus and fall for the tall, dark, and handsome, whatever there is. That don't exist anymore. Women are more educated. I shouldn't say more educated, but women are now
No, you can.
super
No,
educated.
you can say more educated. You can say that.
I,
No, you
I, I
can.
don't want to do that, because then I'm going to go into a zone where I'm going to get into trouble. But let's just say women are more wiser now. And if they
Okay.
don't see a
We are
father
getting.
in the person that they are they're dated, they're not going to allow certain things to happen and cause themselves to get pregnant. It's not going to happen. Like,
But yet,
it still
but you
does.
know,
Go ahead.
you know what, though, Joel? I just say that I'm
Yeah.
seeing where again more a spill off of that is another issue, whereas women are grappling with no. So we being that women are not confined to the home anymore.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are willing to go out. So now you find that they are saying that, I want a man to be beside and so on. But a lot of the men are not taking up the role. So the women are confined now to a space where them say, boy, them some of them even pencil it out. Say, pencil it out to the point where they're seeing themselves, right? Because they want a child and they need a man for the child to come about. They don't confine themselves, say this man is going to be around. So them say, if him stay around, it's a plus and they're happy. But if not, they have charting a course where they can be there for their child going forward, even without the man. And that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, remember, there's always the probability of, the relationship breaking down, in the long term. But I'm gonna still stand firm and say that women nowadays, in our current time, they are evaluating their male counterpart, and they're trying to make the best decision there is to make sure that if it so happen that we get, pregnant, that this guy will stick around. I think women are more wiser in
Mm-hmm.
today's age. Let me just read this other part of the article. Page 25. The father issue is clear. When Father's Day come around, there is no big excitement compared to Mother's Day. Have you ever wondered why Father's Day is not in May, which is widely celebrated as Child's Month, but Mother's Day is? For the majority, fathers have failed miserably, and some children have gotten to the point where they want nothing to do with their sperm donor. You're making reference to father. Can you talk about that, Ezekiel?
All right. So I thought about it and I'm saying, wouldn't this be lovely? I mean, we're talking about the family. The whole month is dedicated to children. but still
Yeah.
mothers get peace out. So I'm saying, why not have Mother's Day and Father's Day and call me Family Month? So the child, the mother, and the
I
father.
agree.
But,
I
but
agree.
it is separated, and you have
Yeah.
mother getting piece of the child month. I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know if it was planned. That's how all of us go to know it. But again, it is obvious, and it's not me make it up. And all of us who watching, who listening, can attest to it. No, and listen to this part now, Joe. It
Yeah.
is men and women who celebrate Mother's Day. Go again.
Yeah.
It is so it's not like Mother's Day is celebrated by women and children. The man
Yeah.
them must say, yo, me I big up my mother, right? And the
Yeah.
women are saying, I big up my mother. But when it comes on to Father's Day, you find a different scenario. It shows again that fathers, right, we have failed so much so that we same one not even seeing what we are doing. Because remember, we is the same boys who become fathers. And when we are having issues, right, with our fathers, why don't we change it? So we're having issues. I look at for you as an example. You made mention that you had father issues. So now that you have father issue, do you carry it through to become the same issue? No, you're seeking to change that for your children to say, listen, I had father issues, so I don't want my children to go through same. But unfortunately, a lot of men, right, a lot of boys who had father issues are the same ones who come. So that means that I was going to say something in the water, but it's not the water. The stereotype is continue. We need to change it. We can change it because we saw the deficiency with our fathers. Don't make that deficiency with you.
But Ezekiel, let me add something to what you just said. Now, we have to break this down as trauma, right?
Mhm.
And one of the struggle for most men and maybe people in general is one recognizing their trauma and then getting help to deal with it. Because if you leave an unresolved, the only thing an unresolved trauma will cause is you passing that trauma on to someone else.
Mhm.
It will stay with you until you die. But
Mhm.
unresolved, you're gonna pass it on to your children. So I
Mhm.
think the first thing is, and let me just again, I'm gonna use myself as the scapegoat here. The first thing is to recognize the deficient, meaning that you look within yourself and you say, the father didn't really do a good job, and because of that, I am a particular way that I'm struggling, and I don't want to pass this on to my kids, so let me go deal with this, because that's what's happening generally in society now when it relates to black men and also Jamaicans too as well. Let's just put it out there. The behavior in Jamaican men is a perpetuated cycle. It's a cycle because it's unrecognized. Because I'll say this, let me just say this. I came to Canada some years ago. And after being here and assessing how my social skills were back then and what we call social skills in Jamaica, I find a lot of holes in it. Because when you talk about poor emotion management, we Jamaicans, we suffer a huge deficit where our emotions are concerned because we
True.
don't manage our emotions well.
Bottled up.
Here in Canada, let me finish my point. Here in Canada, the way that Canadians are, you will never know that they don't like you because they have mastered the art of not showing those things. We Jamaicans, if I don't like you as a can, you're gonna see that on my face every time we confront each other. So it's a lacking in our social skills and our mental state because of how our society is. And again, this thing about Father's Day and poor father and being the worst father there is, it's a social issue as well. Because again, our fathers and their fathers before them, we can't blame our father too much for the way that they are, because they themselves suffer the same deficit that they have passed on to us, because nobody in the generation lineage stopped to say, you know what, this is not how I'm supposed to be a dad. I can't just go spank my child for every time he does something wrong and not have a conversation and still show some love. We Jamaican fathers don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that. So Mother's Day in and of itself, yeah, I know there is I think it's something that needs to be addressed, because fathers in general, black fathers are, for the most part, it's not as in Jamaica, I think it's also globally, the US too as well. Fathers are always treated as second class citizens. And I guess the comparison is always been made that the mother carried a child for 9 months. And let me say this, I'll be straight with you. If anybody should get more recognition, I will come down and say it's the mother. Because I have witnessed I've witnessed childbirth, and I'm telling you, it's death's door. So we can't don't play Mother's Day. I'm agreeing with you to say that fathers should be acknowledged to the highest level. But yeah, there will always be a little bit more edge when it comes to mothers. We have to give respect to that. You know what I mean? Sorry, you were saying something?
What holds now, is not a little more edge. Yeah. So Mother's Day, 95%. Father's Day, 5%. Now, if we go back to even the whole family court, now remember, you and the mother may not be in a relationship. Doesn't take away from you being a father. And they speak about girls and their fathers and boys and their mothers. You play in your role as a father. You don't have to have a relationship with the mother. You continually and will forever have a relationship with the child. Yes? And if it is that you only get weekends, maximize on that weekend. And believe me, that child will talk about that weekend for the whole week, right? And they are with mothers. I mean, there are times when mothers get jealous of the child's relationship with their father, right? But it's for both parents. And, it goes without saying that, and you mentioned earlier that it comes down the generation and we can't blame our father. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that wholeheartedly, because somebody has to build the cat. We can't pass it on always. So if your father, because it's funny that when it comes down to our educational voice, we take it up in hand. So if our father and our father never graduated or never had a degree, we don't accept it and say, well, them never graduate. So no, we say, them never graduate. Me or change it. So do the same. If it is the father and the father's father, them never did play them role. You not have to follow that.
Yeah. Totally agree with your brother. Trust me, we could talk about fathers more, because I feel like this topic, the lack of knowledge is so entrenched. I shouldn't say it's entrenched, but it's missing when it comes to fatherhood and parenting. That there is so much psychology behind it as to why black men are failing, are used to fail miserably as fathers. Because I'm gonna say that, things have changed. We are catching up to the title of fatherhood. And I see where I want to say that improvements are being made. Let's move on to the other article. Page 33. The negative effects of music. Man, I don't even think. Listen, this one is.
This can take a whole by itself.
let me just quickly see if we can run through this one. So, reading from page 33. For decades, it had the ears of people of all ages glued to its magnetic power through whichever media it comes, leaving varied impressions. People will spend thousands of dollars to travel far and wide to give their ears the satisfaction they think it needs. It has been famous to different people for different reasons. It is good yet bad. It is music. Let me read this other part. Do we all analyze what we listen to? Do we understand what is being said to and about us and others? Do we look at its influence? Let me just quickly say that I tie this in with page 35 and 98, the power of music. Ezekiel, I'll get you to talk about this a little bit.
All right. So me draw for one. Me draw one tune. Right. Me draw one
Yeah.
tune. And me just a draw
Yeah.
one tune. It has nothing to do with the artist and so on. We murder
Yeah.
people in a broad daylight. 6 pounds me
Yeah.
walk with the AK light. English. We murder people in broad daylight. 6 pounds we walk with because the AK is light. No, that is laden with violence. People talk about music imitating art or art imitating music, and we get all philosophical over it. No, that's one. The recent one now that everybody I go back in the class now. Um, back at the class now on a subject. Yeah, something about dance, the whole dance thing, the dance fad that. Now, when I look at it, if it is that dance is going on, do we glorify it? Do we celebrate it? Yeah, and people will defend all kind of different defending of the artists and say it's government fault and so on. And I say everybody has a part to play. The government has a part to play. Them regulate the music there and say so on. People them laugh at them and say, who is listening to mainstream radio? Nobody really listens to radio. So if you say them music can't play on radio because it has spread violence, the hell with you. Because we are there. Spotify, YouTube. Them in a social media which you cannot regulate. You can, but Jamaica is not going to go there. When I say you can, sit down at China and them places that them regulate it, them regulate what comes in. Now, in some Caribbean islands, they have banned some of our Jamaica local music. Why? Because they believe that the music has an effect on the people. Because dancehall is ours, we hug it up and we say, yeah, but calypso this and rap that and so on, and we defend everything. And it goes without saying, if we start to sing, Jesus love me, we are gonna move Jesus love me. But if we start, I don't know this one. Honestly, we have to Google the words. Banka, sang, tong, ta, tong, 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 tong. And I saw me start move now. Yeah. I saw this, there was a song by the teacher, as them call him, Cartel, say Annabella. And I heard that's the music, the intro to the song, Annabella. And I was downtown. And like you wake up at ants nest, I saw people and start moving. The song start clear yet, but they knew what was coming, right? It got turn, Annabella punching the little fella, because they might expect that to come, so them start to move with that. And I've heard youngsters, I say I work at the family court, so the family court is a juvenile court and the family aspect of it, where children are charged. And one youngster start tell me something about Cartel, and I must say a Cartel, a film artist, a Cartel, a film, as them call him the teacher. I'm teacher. So he listens to what Cartel says, right? And a lot of people who are not even at the educational place and standing to decipher, say, all right, this is music. We might listen to it and enjoy what it sound like, but we now go materialize that. And if you check the levels, a lot of these songs, right? Later down the line, it is what happened. We hear about men who would have committed crime and go listen back on the news for a year ago, and then next thing you hear it glorified in a song. And I'm saying, whilst we can't blame the artist wholeheartedly for everything, because that is the big talk. No, you are blaming the artist, but people them and watch cable, and the cable of man a killer of man and so on. So are you saying that they are without blame? No, you have a part to play, and it shows that Cartel say clocks and it's still off.
Yeah.
Cartel said, girl, I say me pretty like a coloring book.
We get into that.
Oh no, so this is music. So he mentioned cake soap, cake cups. So if it had no effect, why cake soap still have? Why the price of clocks gone up by sky? Because he had the masses, he had the fame, and he put it and sing it, and it gonna lead. You don't even have no educational background and so on. You put a lot of them have no subject and so on, but them have the talent, and the talent make them rich. So the people them want to go to school and them have them degree and have half the money as well the influence that it have. And the influence make you buy the record or the CD or the download it and support them. It's influence, yes. And people are gonna argue and say, yeah, but me listen to it and me not commit no crime. Everybody's not the same. So if
Yeah.
one person listen to it and commit a mass murder, then that's the impact that it had on that person.
Let me read this other part. No, page 35. No, the artists are trying to dispel the criticism that they are not influencing crime and violence in the country. But what is influence? It is the effect a person or thing has on another. Some of the artists are idolized as patrons by people who strive to be like them to the extent that they use their songs as a life directive. Example, a person who reports a crime is not seen as a good citizen, but an informer who fi dead. Or if a girl is not letting down her moral standards to give another brother sexual gratification, then she is called all kind of derogatory names.
There's this song, I don't remember who sing it. To say, so something another boner lead, gunshot for bust up in or something else, informer head. Now, I ask the question, who's an informer? And you find that an informer is a person becomes an informer depending on which side. So if somebody, God forbid, was to offend or do a crime to my family, if that person go and reports it, I feel good because justice is going to be prevailing. But to the person who it is reported against, yes, they and their family will see that person as an informer. The word informer, and we know and understand how it is used, right? So in itself, giving information is informing. A teacher is an informer because the teacher tells you about things. When you watch the news, they're informing you on things. That's an informer. But in Jamaica, we use informer in a different way. Whereas if somebody gives information on somebody that will bring them to justice, they see it as a wrong thing. Yes? And when we sing about these things, does that make our country better? If crimes are being committed and persons are not brought to books, it means that more crime is going to be committed, right? And that is why when we speak about parenting and fathers, so if something happens, you address it with your child. And it might happen again, you address it again, hoping that the Bible says, train up a child. And this is a training part. So if you're being trained and you're being taught and you're being empowered to bust up gunshot in an informer head, girl for this and girl, and if a girl not do this or girl not that, and I'm saying, and you know what is funny? If you see a girl on the road and call her girl, you know, she frowned at you. But in a song, they say, hey, girl for drop this and girl for that, and this and girls, same girls, them are bust blank for the same song we call them girl, and put them down and degrade them and so on. And these are the same men, right? That they're pining after. These are the same men who are become their spouses, and you're saying it to me, you know, add up, but I guess to each his own at the end of the day.
Let me just say, first of all, we are not bashing artists. You Jamaican artists, love my Jamaican music, love my culture music, love the creativity that most of our artists have, the skills and so forth. What we're saying is you are an influence and you have a responsibility to your listeners, to your fans, as to what you are influencing them with. So it's, and here's the thing, it is not so much the adults that are being influenced by these music, because adults are supposed to be able to differentiate between right and wrong. But children, on the other hand, do you guys know that the brain does not become fully mature until age 25? So when I talk about fully mature, we're talking about the ability to make rational decisions, the ability to also manage what is our filter, what is coming into their minds. Anybody below 25 really don't have the capacity to. So all we're saying is that the younger generations, for the most part, are oftentimes the ones that suffer the most when it comes to what they're being fed with music. Again, we love music, but at the same time, we have to be mindful of what is being said, because the whole idea of shooting somebody and watching their brains spill out at the back of their head. And honestly, how do you think? What do you think a 13-year-old is thinking of when he hears something like that? And what do you think a 13-year-old girl is thinking when the whole, shout out to Vibes Cartel. I still love your music, but man, you need to be a more positive influence, man.
But Joel, we look at it, and as I said, shout out to Adi. And I believe that, like Paul, the whole scenario of Paul in the Bible, who used to persecute Christians, and I say Cartel persecute, but if Cartel was to, and that is always my prayer for Cartel to become a Christian, and that to do with the ability that he has and to coin music and so on. Many people might not even accept, but fine. And people are gonna go off and talk about Christianity and whatever. But the concept what I'm saying is that I think he is a like my artist assassin. Called Agent Sasko. And when you think about the songs that Cartel sing, and when put in a song, it have sense. It have sense. And he mentioned, say, listen, me sing them song, yes, but a your responsibility to your child.
I heard that interview.
And him say that, and him say him don't make it.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah, I know. And he made mention one at the time that film children them not listen to that, but if you check the levels now, him sons them have become artists now, right?
Yeah.
So on, and them are sing them. So I'm saying, whilst he's not wrong, he has a part to play, and all of us have a part to play. When you sing, for example, these murder songs and so on, it is giving more
fuel to the fire.
Fuel, thanks. To the fire of Jamaica has a crime problem. So why are we glorifying? Why are we talking? Why don't we look? I believe Assassin is underrated. When I say underrated, listen to him song. Winning right now on these underrated. Listen to the songs that get glorified. The songs that encourage or give thumbs up to negative scamming, treating women in derogatory ways, killing people and so on, right? Anyway, this me, right in front of the officer, and whole it more songs. And I'm saying, remember, you sing the song and you get rich and you benefit from it. But what's the sense of you benefit from something that you cannot enjoy? Because when if Jamaica becomes this crime-riddled place, endorsed in your music, where are you going to enjoy it? You have to go foreign.
Yeah. So they are contribute. So those kind of influence do contribute to the deplorable state of Jamaica when it comes to crime and violence. But is it fair to say though, Ezekan, that music is changing? Because I feel like I'm not. You've been in Jamaica. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think music is changing where the violence section of the songs are concerned? No,
I don't.
No.
All right. So my daughter, not biological, but my daughter, I heard she had on her headphone one day. I'm saying, what you listen to now? And she said, why? And I said, why should there be a problem if me want to hear what you listen to? She's 13, and so she reluctant. And I had to go through one whole lecture and stuff here. When I started listening, she started to play it now. The songs that I listen, I said to her, I said, your mother a teacher, And the song was saying, family come never like school. I mean, I like teacher and also. So I said, you become anything. Teacher have a role for play in you becoming whatever you become. So if you feed yourself on this and you look, because what is funny, as I say, when you look at them successful, what them do, what them strive of. Negativity sells. That can bring us into another topic of, the print media and so on. But they have a part to play, not just to themselves. Because if it's just to themselves, they will be selfish. Because you rich with everybody now, a kill off themselves and so on. And you lock up in your mansion and say, no, you have a part to play and grow in Jamaica. A lot of investors. Crime is Jamaica's. Jamaica one have more beautiful. We have the best, the fastest runner. Football, we have everything. But crime mash up everything that people want to run with it here. Crime. So why glorify it?
Let's pivot on that topic because we're in line. Page 85. children need our care and protection. And this is about children going missing. Seeing the
Mhm.
reports each night of toddlers and teenagers going missing is heartrending. Right? A child under the law is someone under 18 years old and is to be afforded love, care, and protection from their parents slash guardians and society. This love care this love, care, and protection seem only to be in theory, as children are used and abused in all the ways one can think of, both inside and outside the home. You want to speak on that, Ezekiel?
No, this is passionate, and I know person's watching, and it's real passionate. And I write
Yeah.
about this, and there are other instances. The latest of which is this 8-year-old girl that was abducted. No, even later than that, the situation that is going on right now, where a
Yeah.
10-month-old, yeah, 10-month-old baby was killed. You hold that saga that is going on now, right now in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what could that child have done to anybody at 10 months? All that child does is eat and sleep. A child at 8 years, innocence. Jesus says, "Suffer the children to come unto me." So when we as adults who are given the responsibility of caring, how we feed them, how we wake them up in the morning, how we put them to bed at night, when they want toothpaste, when they want cheese stick, sweetie, is we. So why hurt them? So my time we see some things on the road, I mean, I tell us, say your heart grieve, right? You see, it's funny because I have a first degree in social work, and many of our parents, they don't know how to parent. The easiest part of the equation they would have done, which is the coming together and knew one another, as the Bible put it. So when they knew one
Yeah.
another, the child comes. But what next? And I say, like, in our country, there's much to be desired in relation to parenting, because if we fix the home, and you see how intertwined it goes again, because if we are abusing the children, then the child is going to grow up abused, and some of them will accept that this is how it is. A lot of people will tell you that them used to get murderation from them parents, murderation. So what you think them do with their child? They murder it.
Very.
They murder it there because this is how they know it. There's a story of this lady, and she see her mother bending the foot of the chicken to put in the oven. And she asked her mother, like, "Mommy, like, why you do that?" And she said, "Me no know. Ask your grandmother." Ask her grandmother, "Why you do that?" She said, "Me no know. Ask your great grandmother. Ask your great mother." The story, the moral of the story is, they just follow what they say. So if
Yeah.
this is how you correct your child, then the correct. So I'm happy now that a lot of that is changing, because there are a myriad of agencies there. There's the CPFSA, it's formerly called CDA, which is Child Development Agencies. Their name is now CPFSA. There's OCA, that's our Children Registry. There is a whole heap of agencies gearing to the protection of children. Why? Children are the future. So if we abuse the future, then we're going to have a violent future. We have to care for them, and we see so much continues to happen for them. It's not funny. It's not funny to hurt.
Let me read this other part before anything there. Page 91. It is easy to say that children are bad and should be placed in state care when they are bad because of their parents slash guardians neglecting them and a wicked and uncaring society. It's true. It truly takes a village to raise a child. Ezekiel, let me ask you something, because I have to. We have to talk about this, if not for a little bit. The girls or boys or children that are going missing in Jamaica. What's the story behind that, in your opinion?
Well, if I know, I would tell you categorically. But it's a myriad of things. I think at this joint in society, because again, it takes a village to raise a child. However, people will tell you that how some parents are, you cannot correct their child. And if you dare correct their child, they might exact harshness against you, the individual. So that some people what they do is mind, as they say in Jamaica, their own business, which does not help a child. But then you hear our parents will tell you that you dare not pass somebody on the road and not exchange pleasantries with them
Yeah, yeah,
because
that's how it was.
your parents will instill this and support that person on the road. You find not so now. So you find that children who needs guidance, who needs nourishment, and yes, and they do this with their parents at home. If they find that they can get away with things with their fathers or mothers, they cling to that. However, we both have to come together for children to understand there's a balance. No, as I says, to some of them, some parents don't know how to parent and they push sometimes the child away. You have to be in your child's life. When I say be in their life, check them back to find out, ask them question, right? Anything that you see out of the way. I saw this it wasn't a documentary, it's a real program where this girl, she was online and she saw this she saw this friend on this person online and they became friends and they asked for a flash. No, and that's another thing. A lot of parents them far removed from the reality. Like if you say to a parent, tell them about a flash, them don't know, them have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So a
yeah.
flash is when a girl lifts up her shirt and
Yeah,
reveal her whatever.
exposes
Right,
ourselves.
right. So she gave him the flash. He recorded it. She was probably about 11, 12, 12, yeah. So now what he did was he held that in case he have some computer skills. And he asked her to do it again another time. And she said no. And him said, well, he's going to expose it. And he showed her. So she never knows that him recording. And she was like, whoa. So for a while now, he blackmailed her, yes. So he said he must send it out to her friends and so on and things. So she now became a little slave to him. So she locked up in her room now against her will because she don't want him send out it. And I do all kind of acts on him. And I think he started to put it on a site, porn site, this 11 or 12-year-old girl. Now, the mother noticed certain behavior in her, the child. And, from that, she started to take more keen interest. And then she found out what happened. We have to play a keen role. You can't make your child grow on auto. You
Yeah,
have to grow the child. Meaning, you have to, if you notice certain things, they normally come in and then come and sit down and them start to come in and just go straight to them room, check it out. So these some of these things, as I say, it's a myriad of factors. Sometimes a parental neglect, sometimes issues with parenting, because sometimes we have a saying in Jamaica, you can't catch quacko. You can't catch the individual who has a grouse or you have a grouse against, you take it out and just like how animals hunt, they find the weaker among the group. So
the
some
pack, the
people,
pack. Yeah,
yeah, some people do that. So I'm saying in relation to children, you have to take it up in hand, right? If your child used to get 80 and start to get 50, that's something for you to check out, right? If you start your child used to go and don't just leave them up and listen and take everything they say. When I say take it, so what if they tell you, oh mommy, because we start leave come home from school late, why? And then give you something, one of these days you pop up to see, right? So when I say don't listen to everything, meaning prove it. Because a next side of that, they may be telling you something and you are not taking heed to it. And then when you see the result of same, and then someone does pedophile and someone does, I mean I gotta express certain things when would have, want to happen. But I'm saying it's a myriad of factors. So parenting is one, and some of the time and parenting goes to understanding the child. So we might say the child is bad, yeah, and so she does bad. How did she become bad? She never born that way in there, yeah. So it's certain things in her upbringing, certain things that she would have been and let me keep on as a she, they, right, whether the male or female, exposed to, right, and children, they are going to experiment, they are going to roll up well, I never really used to do it, but they might roll up trash and try smoke it because they probably can't go buy the cigarette, right? They might go try things, and that's why you're there. In the adolescent years, a lot of changes is gonna happen, and that's why parents is there to carry them through. If you allow other people to carry them through, you might get a pregnant child. You might get a gunman. You have to be the one to carry them through. And then some of the times, as we said, the parent might be the one who might offend somebody and then take it out on the child.
In addition, Ezekan, I mean, just to add to what you just said just now, parents need to have conversation with their kids too, as young as they are. Don't go into strangers' car. Don't when you leave school, come straight home. Don't eat from strangers or don't eat from anyone. Make sure you have your lunch money. These things might sound small, but it takes these small things to sway children into environments and decisions that we lose them
You heard
because, like you
about
said,
huh?
there's lots of reasons why kids go missing. But again, we as parents, what we can control is to educate our kids when it comes to when they leave the house, how they interact with other people, the do's and don'ts when it comes to walking on the road. Not to go to someone's home that you don't know. Don't follow friends. Have conversation with your kids as young as they are, because when these vile moments occur, at least they have something to reason out to say. But didn't mommy or daddy say this that I shouldn't
Yeah,
do? And then they'll react because as like you said, I think that it's probably some of these crimes are caused from influence, meaning other kids,
mm-hmm.
hanging out with the wrong company, jumping into somebody's car that you don't even know, of accepting food that might can cause you to pass out and somebody take you, taking toys from strangers. Don't take gifts from strangers because like I said, it sounds simple, but it's things like these that are used to sway these kids, and they disappear and you never see them again, unfortunately.
You see,
So
we have to
just
show,
to,
we have
I
to
just
show
wanted to,
love. We have to show love to our children. A lot of our children are
yeah,
afraid of us because all we know is to exact punishment. So because they are afraid of the punishment, we do that for.
yeah,
So what they do, right? There's this girl. She said her father searched her bag. I'm not sure. I think it was a skit, but it happens for real. And found clothes instead of book. And he asked her what happened. And she said she did afraid. She didn't want to go on party. And she, say naga sell her. And but guess what now? She could have got a party, get drunk, somebody take advantage of her. Why? Because she's afraid to go to her father. And
yeah,
she would have afraid to go to her father or mother parents because of how the parents deal with the child. Yes?
yeah.
Some
That's
of
true.
some of the parents, the first thing them all draw is anything them catch. It can't be. It's a different because what will happen now, the parent might find themselves in a prison, right? Because the system is trying to push you to show love in a different way. Because with and
Yeah,
well parents beat children and because them hate them, But this is the way them try to scare them into doing the right things. But that is long past. You have to talk to them and remember again, people, see children, they are children. You used to do it too. So if your parents tell you one time, that is not enough. That can never be enough. That have to adults. And even adults you have to tell them again and again. So don't tell your child one time and two time, and when them do it again, you cuss them and lick them with big stick. No, as children, you as adult, you come later, your boss talk to you, and you come later again, your boss talk till you get letter. So if the child do the thing and you talk to the child, talk to them again and talk to them. You know water the tree one time and it grow and bear fruit. You water it every morning, so you have it over and over. I know it's gonna be frustrating, but that's how it go.
parenting. The show is called One Step. Ezekan Bolton, author of Jamaica in 60 Letters. Really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your book, my brother. Any last words before we go? Where can
Well,
your, individuals follow you because you're writing more books and you want people to know what's going on.
right. So I'm on TikTok. Michael. It is MIKAL underscore writes WRITEZ. So it's MIKAL underscore writes WRITEZ or MIKAL underscore writes WRITES. So TikTok is Rights with a Z, WRITEZ, and Instagram is WRITES. On Facebook, it's Michael Bolton. Right, so on those platforms, the books can be had at Amazon and Amazon, and I say books because we spoke about Jamaica in 60 letters, but there's also another book called and this is volume one. There's another book called Silhouette of Emotions, the Expressions of Intimacy. Both are on Amazon. So if you go on Google and type in Jamaica in 60 letters or type in my name, you will see articles that I've written over the years on Google and in the other course that I've been a part of. You will also see where the books can be at. So in Jamaica, you can get the book at Fontana Pharmacy. You can get it at Lee's Family Pharmacy. Those places for now, you can get both books. Now, as you say, the last. So now this is a compilation, as I say, a part, volume one. Volume two should be out by December, January, and then volume three after that. Now, other things, we just picked out some of the stuff, and this if, following, and the book, it tells you the year that it's written, when it was published. All the articles that are in the books are published articles, right? Mean that they were published in our local newspaper, like Vina or the Observer, right? I'm seeing where on page 77 it speaks about chikungunya. Now, chikungunya came in 2014, sorry, not 2024. I mean, I reached just a chikungunya. True. Soon though. So chikungunya came in 2014 and had everybody cranked up. Yeah. Other things that are in the book, we spoke about Tessa and Chin when she won The Voice, how Jamaica, they turned into this big celebratory country, celebrating our own. So the book speaks about things that government needs to do. We can look back at some things that happened in our past, and they say, don't know your past, you don't know your future, right? So it is basically bringing you through some of our history. As Joel mentioned, past student of Norman Manley, social worker, and also an officer of the law. I am, and I'm grateful to be a part of this one step and to share with you, and I'm always willing to share as I do public speaking. Also, I have a presentation to do, a parenting as you seminar to participate in. So I encourage people, as we spoke about the core of this. I'll narrow it down to being our brother's keeper, showing love to our children. And when we show love is not confined. Yes, when we show love, it's general. So I encourage people to support, purchase a copy of the book, and show love.
We do appreciate you, Ezekiel. We'll get this script out there. It's been really interesting. Time don't allow us to go through all the articles, and there are some other, like you just listed some really fun, interesting articles there. And let me just restructure that quote as we were taught in high school by Miss Davis, history teacher. A man that does not know his history is destined to repeat it. So I heard it in reference to history, and this book had contained a lot of histories in relation to stuff that have taken place back in Jamaica back in the day. Truly appreciate having you, Ezekiel Bolton. Wish you all the best. God bless. Have a good evening. Tell your wife thanks for sparing you for you to come on the show.
She sleep in her eye, but she sat up and watched. Was saying thanks to once for having us, and I pray that in all your endeavors, that the channel will grow and that many will learn, and whoever is to participate, they will be blessed by the channel.
I truly do believe that. You guys have a good night. Until I see you again, my brother. Keep safe. Take care. God bless, and bye.
All right, blessings. Appreciate it.